A veritable cottage industry has emerged among physicists who have suggested that mental events somehow follow from quantum domain entanglement and non-locality. Quantum domain entanglement is the strange state where particles, once they have interacted, are to be described by a single quantum mechanical wave function, even if the component particles that have interacted in the past are now far apart from one another. A consequence of entanglement or non-locality is that an observed event or fluctuation here can be correlated with an event as far away as the other side of the universe, so long as the particles have interacted in the past. The reality of non-locality seems to be pretty much proven by modern physics. But the claim that entanglement, also known as quantum domain coherence, matters for brain function is, I think, pretty improbable. Such seemingly radical claims are not needed to account for indeterminism at the level of information processing in the brain. Criterial detectors or decoders, such as receptors or neurons, can operate in the domain of warm brain temperatures where the kind of quantum domain coherence that would be necessary to realize entanglement would be made incoherent unless some kind of molecular shield has evolved to keep coherence in place among shielded particles. I think there's no need to invoke quantum non-locality or superposition, entanglement, coherence, electron tunneling, quantum gravity, or any new forces to understand informational causal chains in the brain. Criteria can be realized in the input-output mechanisms of relatively large-scale, high-temperature entities such as receptors or neurons in the absence of non-locality effects. What is needed, however, is some degree of noise in the system that arises from amplified microscopic fluctuations that manifest themselves as randomness concerning the timing of excitatory postsynaptic potentials and inhibitory postsynaptic potentials, which, in turn, introduces randomness into neural spike timing. Because of such noise at the synapse and within neurons themselves, there's no guarantee that identical presynaptic inputs will lead to identical postsynaptic outputs, even if time could be rewound and initial conditions were truly identical. But noise could also be introduced by external factors, such as, say, noise in perceptual inputs or cellular damage due to free radicals or cosmic rays or many other possible causes that have nothing to do with non-local quantum level effects. While I argue that noise can be harnessed for the purposes of generating novel solutions using criterial causation, this is a far cry from notions that non-local quantum level effects are in some mysterious way responsible for mental events. In short, I think that it is improbable that any of the strange non-local quantum coherence effects can have any influence on how neurons behave or how consciousness or information is realized in neural events. The brain is, simply put, too warm to support this kind of quantum domain coherence, and synapses are just too wide to support electron tunneling. Just because some quantum effects are mysterious and the physical realization of mental phenomena is also mysterious does not mean that they are related. This is why I doubt that quantum domain effects are required to account for how information is processed by neurons, beyond the variability in neural dynamics introduced by amplification of microscopic fluctuations that we discussed in the last section. Some physicists and philosophers have argued that quantum indeterminism permits a gap in physical causal chains that can be exploited by consciousness to bias which possibilities become real. The view that I developed in my book, The Neural Basis of Free Will, is unlike such views because consciousness, in the sense of subjective experience, is not seen to play a necessary role in determining which possibility is actualized right now. Rather, consciousness and the entertainment of possible scenarios and courses of action in working memory plays a role in changing the criteria for firing on neurons that might lead to future mental events. In other words, conscious experience and online manipulation of representations in working memory allow the potentiation of future mental events and actions, not present ones.